10 empty states nobody wants to live in, 2025. Nostradamus's prediction is happening now. America is often seen as a land of opportunity, where people chase dreams in bustling cities and thriving towns. But in 2025, a strange shift is unfolding, one that echoes eerily with ancient warnings. While some states continue to grow, others are becoming empty, silent, and forgotten. What's causing people to flee? It's more than just job losses or rising crime. It's a sense of unease, of something deeper unraveling beneath the surface. Could it be that the predictions of Nostradamus are starting to reveal themselves in our own time? Today, on the Journey of Wisdom, we'll explore 10 empty states nobody wants to live in, and the hidden reasons behind this dramatic change. If you're thinking of moving or simply curious about the signs of our shifting society, this is a journey you don't want to miss. Before we begin, remember to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so you'll always be part of our growing community, seeking truth, balance, and understanding in a complex world. Number 1. North Dakota. Once known for its promise of opportunity during the oil boom, North Dakota now finds itself on a quiet decline that many don't talk about, but more and more people are feeling. While its endless plains and strong sense of community once gave it a unique charm, they no longer seem to be enough to keep people rooted. The state saw a net loss of over 4,000 residents in 2023, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, and this outflow is not just a number. It's a sign of a deeper, growing emptiness. The brutal winters, with temperatures plunging to -40 degrees Fahrenheit and roads swallowed by blizzards, create a physical isolation that often mirrors the emotional one. It's hard to build a fulfilling life when stepping outside your door feels like a battle for survival half the year. Once, the oil industry drew waves of workers with the promise of fast money and steady work. But as automation increases and global markets shift, many of those jobs have vanished or become less stable, leaving behind ghost towns and unfinished dreams. Without enough diverse industries to fall back on, many young people, those looking to build careers, families, and futures, are leaving in search of cities that offer more than just resilience. On top of that, rural healthcare has become a pressing concern. Hospitals have closed, clinics are understaffed, and in emergencies, the nearest help could be hours away. This is more than inconvenient, it's life-threatening, especially for older residents or families with children. And while North Dakota still offers a lower cost of living than many parts of the country, the question remains, at what cost? A cheap house loses its appeal when it's far from essential services, opportunities, or community support. In modern life, where we seek not just shelter but connection, purpose, and peace of mind, the trade-offs feel heavier. As we consider where and how we want to live, North Dakota reminds us that comfort and security aren't just about economics. They're also about health, environment, and the possibility of growth. For those navigating midlife or planning for the years ahead, it's worth asking, are we choosing places that help us thrive or just survive? Number 2, West Virginia. Let's take a moment to talk about West Virginia, a state that was once a proud symbol of American industry, known for its coal-rich mountains and hard-working communities. But today, it's facing one of the harshest declines in the nation, and the change is not just visible in the landscape, but in the lives of the people who call it home. Once bustling mining towns now echo with silence, and the strength that once came from deep beneath the earth has slowly faded, leaving behind empty streets and abandoned homes. Between 2022 and 2023 alone, over 18,000 people left the state, a number that speaks louder than any statistic ever could. Why are so many walking away? A big reason is the loss of jobs. For generations, coal was the heartbeat of West Virginia's economy, but as times changed, with automation replacing workers and energy policy shifting away from fossil fuels, the jobs dried up, and without new industries rising to take their place, families are left with little choice but to leave in search of opportunity elsewhere. But it's not just about employment, it's about survival. West Virginia now ranks as one of the poorest states in America, with nearly 17% of its people living below the poverty line. Think about that for a second. Nearly 1 in 6 families struggling just to make ends meet. Can a young person dream big when even the basics feel out of reach? Add to that the reality of low wages compared to surrounding states, and the decision to leave becomes less about escape and more about hope. Education plays a huge role too. When schools are underfunded and higher education is limited, it sends a quiet message to young minds: there's nothing here for you. And sadly, many are listening. Healthcare? That's another hurdle. With rural hospitals closing their doors and medical resources becoming harder to access, even staying healthy has become a challenge in many areas. So, here's the question we all need to reflect on. What does it take to truly build a place people want to stay in, not just survive in? When a community loses its jobs, its schools, and its health care, can we expect it to hold on to its people? This is more than a story about a declining state. It's a mirror showing us what happens when a society forgets to evolve with its people. The lesson here is clear. No place can thrive on past glories alone. A healthy community needs vision, support, and a commitment to the future, not just nostalgia for the past. Let's not just look at West Virginia with sympathy, but with urgency. Because when one place begins to fade, it reminds all of us what we stand to lose if we don't care for the roots that hold our society together. Number 3, Wyoming. Let's talk about Wyoming. Yes, the state known for Yellowstone's stunning geysers and endless natural beauty. On the surface, it sounds like a dream, right? Wide open spaces, breathtaking landscapes, and a slower pace of life. But here's the truth: more and more people are packing up and leaving. Why would anyone want to leave such a picturesque place? The answer lies in what's happening behind the beauty. Wyoming has been losing residents steadily, with over 3,000 people leaving in just one recent year. Could it be that beauty alone isn't enough to build a fulfilling life? Winters in Wyoming are no joke. Long, harsh, and brutally cold. Imagine waking up to roads buried under snow, temperatures well below zero, and constant weather disruptions. For many, especially those used to a milder climate, that's just too much to handle. And when the job market doesn't offer much beyond tourism, ranching, and energy, young professionals, especially recent college grads, start looking elsewhere. If you're someone trying to grow your career in tech, healthcare, or finance, Wyoming may feel like a dead end. Think about it. Would you stay in a place where your career can't grow? Now add another layer: access to healthcare. In Wyoming's many small towns, finding medical help isn't always easy. Families and retirees often have to travel long distances for basic care, which isn't just inconvenient, it's a serious concern. Even with a lower cost of living, wages aren't keeping up. So while you might save on rent, can you really build a secure future without strong income opportunities? It's a question many are answering with their feet. They're moving to places where they can find better jobs, better healthcare, and more reliable infrastructure. And unless Wyoming invests in these critical areas, economic development, healthcare access, and modern industries, it may continue to see its communities shrink. So what would make someone stay or even consider moving there? Is natural beauty alone enough when the essentials of life feel out of reach? If you've watched up to this point, you're clearly someone who seeks the truth behind what's really happening in our world. Comment below with Truth Seeker to show you're awake and aware of these powerful shifts. Don't go anywhere. There's still eye-opening information ahead that could change the way you see the future. Stay with us until the end to uncover the deeper meaning behind these empty states and what they could mean for all of us in 2025. Number 4. Maine. Maine, with its rugged coastlines, charming lighthouses, and small-town appeal, paints a beautiful picture on the surface. But beneath that beauty lies a quiet struggle that many don't see at first glance. Once a haven for simplicity and peace, Maine is now one of the fastest aging states in the nation, with a median age of 45. This aging trend isn't just a statistic. It reflects a deeper issue: the steady loss of younger generations who are leaving behind their roots in search of broader opportunities. In 2023 alone, Maine saw a population decline of nearly 6,000 people, signaling a concerning pattern that's not just about numbers. It's about the heart of the community slowly drifting away. Young professionals often head to bigger cities like Boston, where not only the job market is more dynamic, but also the promise of growth, innovation, and competitive salaries feels more within reach. This migration chips away at the working population, leaving behind gaps in vitality and energy that small towns once thrived on. The state's economy, which heavily depends on tourism and fishing, struggles to keep up with the modern demand for sustainable, well-paying careers. And while these industries hold cultural value, they can't always offer the financial security young families or ambitious individuals need to build a future. On top of that, the long, harsh winters, where temperatures regularly dip below zero and snowstorms become a seasonal burden, are enough to push even the most resilient locals toward warmer destinations like Florida or the Carolinas. For retirees especially, the idea of facing icy roads and limited mobility becomes not just inconvenient, but hazardous. Meanwhile, housing, once a refuge of affordability in Maine, is no longer so accessible. Home values have surged by nearly 15% in just 3 years, pushing younger families out of the market while property taxes continue to rise, adding yet another layer of financial pressure. Perhaps most pressing, however, is the healthcare challenge. In many rural areas, doctor shortages and hospital closures mean aging residents can't rely on receiving consistent or urgent care when they need it most. These gaps create real anxiety, especially in communities where the nearest functioning hospital could be hours away. In today's world, where stability and access are key to a meaningful life, Maine represents a growing reminder of what happens when opportunity, affordability, and essential services begin to slip away. For those watching this unfold, it's a call to not only reflect on where we choose to live, but also on the kind of communities we want to build, ones where young and old alike can thrive, stay connected, and feel secure in every season of life. Number 5. Mississippi. Number 5 on this sobering list is Mississippi, a place once celebrated for its deep southern charm and rich cultural heritage, now facing some of the harshest realities in the country. Let's talk about what's really going on here, because the numbers speak loudly. In 2023 alone, Mississippi lost over 9,000 residents. That's not just a statistic. It's thousands of individuals and families making the painful decision to leave the place they once called home. Why? One major reason is the economy. With a median household income hovering around $50,500, among the lowest in the entire US, many people are simply finding it impossible to make ends meet. And it's not just about wages. Job growth is stagnant, opportunities are scarce, and for those trying to build a future, Mississippi often feels like a dead end. Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you work, there's just no upward path? That's the reality for too many living there. Education, a pillar of progress, is another struggle. The state ranks last in the nation, with many public schools underfunded, test scores dragging, and dropout rates rising. When parents look around and don't see hope for their children's learning and development, what choice do they have but to leave? The healthcare crisis only adds more weight to the burden. Hospitals, especially in rural towns, are closing down, and with some of the highest rates of uninsured people in the country, many are left with no options for care. What happens to a community when even basic health support is out of reach? On top of it all, the roads are crumbling, bridges are falling behind on repairs, and public utilities struggle with maintenance. Without investment and forward movement, how can a state thrive? Yet even in all this, there's a deeper question we can ask ourselves. What does it really mean for a place to be empty? Is it just about numbers? Or is it also about lost hope, lost opportunities, and a loss of connection to a place once filled with pride? As you reflect on Mississippi's struggles, think about your own community. What holds it together? What do we do as individuals to create spaces where people feel they can stay, grow, and belong? The lesson here isn't just about a state. It's about the importance of nurturing our foundations: strong education, accessible healthcare, fair economic opportunities, and a commitment to care for the people who call a place home. When these things are neglected, even the richest history can fade into hardship. Let's choose to build, not abandon, the places we live in, starting with how we care for each other. Number 6. Kansas. Let's talk about Kansas. Not just the land of amber waves of grain, but a place many people once called home and are now quietly leaving behind. Have you ever wondered what makes someone pack up their life and start over in a new state? Kansas is a perfect example of this unfolding reality. Despite its charm, friendly small towns, and affordable living, more and more people are walking away. In 2023 alone, over 6,000 residents left the state, and it wasn't just for adventure. It was for survival, opportunity, and hope. Agriculture, once the heart and soul of Kansas, still plays a big role, but the state is falling behind in offering high-paying, future-ready jobs. Picture a young graduate full of dreams, looking around and realizing that tech firms, creative hubs, and innovative industries just aren't setting up shop here. Instead, they look toward places like Colorado and Texas, where possibilities seem to grow like wildflowers. Can you imagine being full of potential, but feeling like the soil beneath you can't help you grow? The challenges don't end with the economy. Kansas battles Mother Nature in ways that are hard to ignore. Blistering heat in the summer, biting cold in the winter, and tornadoes that tear through lives and homes. It's a hard place to build lasting peace of mind, and when you step outside the main cities like Wichita or Kansas City, what do you find? Many towns feel quiet, almost too quiet. There's a noticeable lack of entertainment, arts, or vibrant cultural life. What would you do if every weekend felt like a repeat of the last, with no concerts, no bustling cafes, no new experiences to savor? And then there's something even more serious. Public services, especially healthcare and education, are under real pressure. Rural hospitals are closing fast, and for many families, that's the final straw. When you can't find a hospital nearby or send your child to a school with strong resources, what choices do you really have? These are not just statistics. They're stories of grandparents who live far from care, kids who travel miles for school, and parents who lie awake wondering if they're giving their families the future they deserve. So when we talk about Kansas being one of the empty states in 2025, it's more than a number on a chart. It's a mirror reflecting deeper problems that many regions face today. What do you think is needed to bring people back, not just to Kansas, but to all the places losing their sense of community and opportunity? How can we create a life worth staying for, not just surviving in? You've just uncovered a glimpse of what might be unfolding before our eyes. Prophecies, shifting realities, and places once full of life now falling silent. If you feel the urgency of these times, comment "eyes open" to show you're aware and ready to face the truth. There's still more to reveal, so stay with us till the end for insights that might just prepare you for what's coming next. Number 7. Nebraska. Nebraska, often called the heart of the Midwest, is witnessing a quiet but steady departure of its people, despite its relatively low unemployment rate. In 2023 alone, census data revealed a net loss of over 4,500 residents. This isn't simply a number. It reflects a growing dissatisfaction rooted in everyday realities. Outside of Omaha and Lincoln, much of Nebraska is made up of small, rural towns. While these places may offer peace and slower living, they often lack the things that draw in and keep younger generations: diverse career paths, nightlife, cultural events, and a sense of dynamic energy. Without vibrant urban centers, many young professionals find themselves feeling stuck, leading them to seek opportunity elsewhere. Adding to this is Nebraska's extreme weather, which swings from bitterly cold winters to unbearably hot summers, making daily life more challenging and limiting the ability to enjoy the outdoors or maintain comfort year-round. Tornadoes are not uncommon either, creating an additional layer of unease for those considering long-term routes. And while housing costs remain relatively low, this advantage is offset by stagnant wages. People want more than just to get by. They want to grow, to thrive. But in Nebraska, the lack of significant wage increases makes that difficult, pushing residents towards states where earning potential is higher, but the cost of living is still manageable. For those raising families or aging in place, another harsh truth is the shrinking access to healthcare. As rural hospitals shut their doors, simple medical appointments can require long drives, a burden especially heavy on the elderly and those with chronic conditions. In a world where stability and access are vital, Nebraska is struggling to meet the evolving needs of its people. The lesson here is not just about geography. It's about the importance of adapting to change, investing in community life, and ensuring that progress doesn't leave anyone behind. If we want to build places that people are proud to stay in, we must look beyond economic stats and ask, are we truly supporting the quality of life people deserve? Number 8. Alaska. Alaska, a place of raw beauty, majestic mountains, and untamed wilderness. It's the largest state in the US, yet also one of the most empty, not just in space but in spirit, for many who once called it home. The truth is, despite all its natural riches, Alaska is slowly emptying out. More than 5,000 people packed up and left in 2023 alone, continuing a trend that's been going on for over a decade. But why are so many people leaving such a unique and extraordinary place? One major reason is the high cost of living. Being so remote, even basic items like food and gas can cost a small fortune compared to what you'd pay in the lower 48. Imagine having to think twice about buying groceries, not because you want to save, but because it's just too expensive. The median price of a home in Anchorage is now over $429,000. How can a young family or a working-class individual afford that, especially with limited job diversity? Then there's the weather. Alaska's winters are long, harsh, and bitterly cold, dropping to -50 degrees Fahrenheit in some areas. The heavy snowfall isn't just scenic, it's a daily challenge. What happens when simply going to work or school becomes a physical test of endurance? And while Alaska's economy shines in sectors like oil and fishing, opportunities beyond those are scarce. If you're someone looking to grow in tech, finance, or healthcare, chances are you'll feel stuck. This hits young people the hardest. They want a future that's wide open, not locked in by geography. Healthcare is another challenge that pushes people away. Many Alaskans live in remote areas where hospitals are hours away. For a parent with a sick child or an elder in need of regular care, this isn't just inconvenient, it can be terrifying. And still, Alaska offers financial perks like the permanent fund dividend and the dream of a rugged, off-the-grid life. So why isn't it enough to keep people there? Could it be that even the most stunning landscape can't replace connection, opportunity, or the basic comforts we need to thrive? It's worth asking yourself, what really makes a place feel like home? Is it the freedom of open skies or the sense of support and security that comes from community, access, and stability? The lesson here is simple, yet powerful. Even a land of abundance can feel empty if basic needs aren't met. Beauty alone can't hold people. It's belonging, opportunity, and well-being that keep us rooted. So as we think about the places we choose to live, let's not just admire the view. Let's ask if the life we want is truly possible there. Number 9. Montana. Let's talk about a place that looks like a dream on the outside. Montana. You've probably seen those stunning pictures of snow-capped mountains, wide-open skies, and peaceful, untouched nature. It's easy to imagine a slower, more grounded life there, where the modern world fades away, and you're just surrounded by silence and beauty. But here's the thing. Behind that postcard-perfect image lies a growing struggle that's pushing people away instead of pulling them in. Have you ever felt drawn to a place only to find out it wasn't quite what you expected? That's what's happening in Montana right now. In 2023 alone, nearly 6,500 people packed up and left the state, not because they didn't love the view, but because staying simply wasn't working anymore. One of the biggest reasons? The cost of housing has shot through the roof. Home prices have surged more than 20% in just the last few years, and with rising property taxes on top of that, many long-time residents are being priced out of the places they've called home for generations. Can you imagine watching your hometown slowly slip out of reach just because of money? And it's not just about housing. Jobs are scarce too, especially stable, well-paying ones that can support a family or make it worth it for a college grad to stay. Most of the economy relies on tourism and agriculture, which are seasonal or inconsistent at best. So younger folks, full of dreams and energy, are heading off to places like Colorado or Washington, chasing opportunity. Now think about this. Winters in Montana are no joke. In some parts, snow piles up over 100 inches a year. It's beautiful, sure, but living in that day after day, it can wear you down. Cold, dark months, icy roads, and the challenge of getting simple errands done become part of daily life. For retirees and families with small children, it's no wonder they'd rather choose a place where winter doesn't feel so harsh. Then there's the issue of healthcare. Imagine needing medical help and having to drive hours just to find a doctor. Many rural hospitals have shut down, and public infrastructure hasn't kept up with the needs of the people who remain. So you have to ask, how can a state so rich in natural beauty be struggling to keep its people? What does this tell us about the deeper needs of a community beyond just a pretty landscape? And, more importantly, if a place like Montana is quietly emptying out, what can that teach us about what people truly value when they choose where to live? If you are still here, you're not just a viewer, you're a seeker of truth in a world full of noise. These empty states are more than just places. They're reflections of something deeper happening around us. Comment, I see the signs, if you feel the shift and want to stay awake in these uncertain times. Don't miss what's coming next. Every second could hold a piece of the puzzle we're all trying to understand. Number 10, South Dakota. South Dakota may be known for its vast, open landscapes and iconic attractions like Mount Rushmore, drawing in millions of tourists each year. But beneath that beauty lies a more sobering reality, one that many residents are choosing to leave behind. Despite its sturdy agricultural backbone, the state is struggling to retain its population, with recent data from 2023 showing a net loss of 5,200 people. While farming and tourism remain the primary economic drivers, opportunities beyond those sectors are few and far between. Cities like Sioux Falls and Rapid City offer some potential, but for many young professionals, the wages and career development simply don't measure up to what nearby urban centers in other states can offer. This economic limitation pushes people, especially the younger generation, to look elsewhere for a more promising future. Adding to the challenge is the punishing climate. South Dakota's winters are not just cold, they're extreme, with temperatures often plunging well below 10 degrees Fahrenheit and heavy snowstorms that make daily life and travel not just inconvenient, but sometimes dangerous. Understandably, when people consider where to build a life, such relentless cold can be a strong deterrent, especially when milder alternatives exist. Then there's the matter of healthcare, which becomes even more critical in the context of an aging population. In many rural areas, specialized care is miles, sometimes hours away, and a growing shortage of medical professionals is straining the system further. For elderly residents and those with ongoing medical needs, this becomes a heavy burden to carry. While housing remains relatively affordable, it's clear that affordability alone isn't enough to keep people rooted. When a place lacks economic diversity, reliable healthcare, and tolerable living conditions, even the strongest community bonds and scenic views may not be enough to outweigh the downsides. Young families often prioritize safety, opportunity, and access to essential services. And when those fall short, moving becomes less of a choice and more of a necessity. If South Dakota hopes to change course, the focus must shift toward diversifying its economy, improving infrastructure, and expanding access to healthcare. Otherwise, the quiet exodus will continue, and the state's promise will remain locked behind bitter winters and limited prospects. For those of us navigating modern life, this serves as a reminder: a fulfilling life isn't built on beauty alone. It requires opportunity, connection, and the ability to thrive in all seasons. Advice for people living in 10 empty states no one wants to live in, 2025. In this ever-shifting world where cities rise and fall, economies sway, and communities change shape, many people today, especially those aged 30 to 65, are facing uncertain crossroads. Living in one of the 10 so-called empty states, where populations are shrinking and opportunities may feel limited, can stir up feelings of frustration, fear, and loss. Yet, within this space of uncertainty lies a powerful moment to grow inwardly and rediscover meaning. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that anicca, or impermanence, is at the heart of all things. As the Buddha wisely taught, whatever has the nature to arise also has the nature to cease. This is not meant to dishearten us, but to free us. Change is not our enemy, it is life's way of urging us forward. When a place we once called home begins to feel unfamiliar, when shops close down, friends move away, and silence replaces the buzz of life, we are invited not just to mourn what is lost, but to reflect on what is possible. Letting go does not mean failure. It may be the beginning of peace. As the poet Rumi wrote, try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you. When we accept impermanence, we soften the edges of suffering and allow ourselves the freedom to move with life, rather than against it. That said, the decision to stay or leave a fading place is deeply personal. Still, regardless of location, one truth remains. True happiness always comes from within. You could live in a bustling city or a quiet, nearly forgotten town and still feel empty if your heart is restless. Conversely, a person with a peaceful heart can find joy in the simplest places. The Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." In today's world, where we're bombarded by messages equating success with status and fulfillment with flashy surroundings, it's more important than ever to return to our inner life. Ask yourself, is my mind calm? Am I nurturing compassion? Do I live with mindfulness? These inner qualities shape the world around us more than we realize. A quiet walk through nature, a cup of tea with someone you love, or the ability to breathe fully and freely. These are not small things. They are the foundation of a meaningful life. We must stop looking at our zip codes to define our worth and instead turn our gaze inward. In doing so, we plant roots that no failing economy can shake. Still, for those who feel stuck in places others have left behind, know this: your presence may be more powerful than you think. Be a light where you are. If everyone gives up on these empty places, who will stay behind to nurture their soul? Sometimes we are called not to flee, but to serve. The Buddha encouraged, light your lamp right where you are. Perhaps your kindness, your patience, your willingness to help a neighbor or listen to someone who feels forgotten is exactly what your town needs. It's easy to chase the next better place, but more courageous to stay and sow goodness where it's needed. Small acts, cleaning up a neglected park, mentoring a young person, supporting local businesses, can slowly revive even the most worn-out community. Lao Tzu said, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." Maybe that first step is deciding to be a source of hope in a place others have overlooked. Yet before making any large decision, especially one as significant as moving, it's essential to pause and listen to yourself through stillness. In a world of noise and urgency, stillness is a form of wisdom. Through meditation or quiet reflection, we come home to ourselves. We stop reacting from fear or desperation and start responding with clarity. Buddhist teachings remind us that insight doesn't come from rushing around, but from settling into presence. When we quiet our minds, we can better hear the quiet truth within us. What do I really need right now? What do I value most? A few minutes of silence each day, no phone, no distractions, can offer more answers than hours of scrolling or worrying. As Thich Nhat Hanh beautifully put it, the mind can go in 1,000 directions, but on this beautiful path, I walk in peace. With each step, the wind blows. With each step, a flower blooms. In this space of mindfulness, choices become clearer and peace begins to grow. In the end, wherever you are, whether surrounded by life or watching it slowly fade from your neighborhood, the deepest home you will ever know is the one within yourself. When the mind is at peace, everything is at peace. These words offer a compass in confusing times. Life is not about clinging to what was or fearing what's next. It's about standing with grace in the present, doing good where you are, and trusting that, even in difficult places, peace is possible. Let your days be filled not with regret, but with presence. Whether you stay, move, or rebuild, remember, the most important place to nurture is not your address, but your awareness. When your heart is steady, even the emptiest town can become a place of light. As we've seen today, these 10 states may be growing quieter, but within that silence lies a powerful reminder: life is always changing, and so are we. Whether you find yourself in one of these places or simply reflecting on where you are in life, remember this: true peace doesn't come from where you live. If this message touched you or helped you see things in a new light, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to the Journey of Wisdom. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos as we continue exploring the deeper truths of life, one step at a time. Thank you for walking this path with us. Until next time, may you find stillness in the noise and light even in the most unexpected places.